You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live at 4.
That kind of sums it up for today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, free car wash day, everyone. We can start with our weather meteorologist, Jacob Montesano, is out on the weather patio in Madison. How's it looking out there?
Well, right now here in Madison, we are dry, but we did see plenty of rain move through earlier, and we've already had some severe weather, and it's also possibly not over yet. Now, the rain is almost certainly not over yet, but we still only have a small chance of severe weather for the rest of the day. Now, right now, we are seeing some showers for the western and northwestern portion of our areas. We're going to continue to see some of these showers and storms redevelop and impact us during the evening hours. So looking at future track, once we get closer to around 7 to 8 p.m., we are going to see one last round of possible severe weather. And then once that goes through, we're still going to see some heavier rain behind the possible severe weather. So we could see an additional ½ inch to maybe full inch of rain fall on top of what we've already seen. And most of that looks like it will clear out overnight. Maybe some lingering showers, especially for areas east of Madison for Wednesday morning. But we're going to see sunshine pretty quickly for your day tomorrow. Now, as we take a look at the temperatures, they did cool down once we had those storms roll through, but then they warmed back up. We went from the upper 70s to lower 70s back up to the middle 70s here in Madison. It is significantly cooler as you go further northwest towards La Crosse and northwest of that. And a lot of the area cooler than this time yesterday for sure, but take a look further northwest. La Crosse is about 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday. And although we're not going to see that dramatic of a temperature drop, tomorrow is going to be cooler, but it will be dry. So I'll talk more in detail about that and continue tracking the possible severe weather later today, all coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. A 23-year-old woman is recovering after a potential stabbing on State Street. The woman showed up to a hospital on Monday morning. She told police sometime between 1 and 2 in the morning on Saturday she was stabbed after a large fight. There are not any reports of fights downtown. Police are still investigating this possible stabbing. Anyone with information should contact the Crime Stoppers at 608-266-6014 or online at p3tips.com.
This is the time of the year when local governments decide how to use your taxpayer dollars. But this budget season, they're watching what the federal government does with its budget very closely.
Arman Rahman shows us how the president's proposed budget package is complicating the process for the city of Madison.
Municipalities like the city of Madison say they're trying to prepare their budgets in the face of a bit of uncertainty as President Trump's big, beautiful spending and tax bill moves through the federal legislature.
We're monitoring the federal budget very closely.
The U.S. Senate is taking up President Trump's budget package this week. City Finance Director David Schmidtke says for now the city has asked its agencies to plan as if they were getting federal funding as usual and prioritizing those projects. The bill proposes rolling back Biden-era clean energy tax credits, which Schmidtke says the city has relied on in the past pretty heavily.
To the total of about $13 million that we assume would be there for clean energy projects like solar on top of buildings, geothermal within new facilities that are within our building program.
The city engineering division proposes borrowing $1.8 million less due to those cuts to the Inflation Reduction Act. I'll have more on how the city finance director says the big beautiful bill, as it stands now, could affect Madison residents tonight at 5. Reporting in Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Arman. The city is giving residents 5 chances to weigh in on the budget process. In June, an engagement session for the Public Works Division is set for tomorrow night at 6 and at the Central Public Library. Well, 1 in 26 people will be diagnosed with epilepsy in their lifetime, and 1 in 10 will have a seizure.
Despite those numbers, it is an invisible disability, one that our Sarah Carlson knows very well and advocates for regularly. And Sarah, what's new in the epilepsy world?
Well, Susan and Brady, there is such a stigma surrounding epilepsy. It's often a condition people don't want to admit they have or even talk about. So this person did something about it. Landis Wiedner, who has epilepsy herself, decided to create a safe space for the subject. It's a podcast called What the F, that's EF, where she interviews those with epilepsy, myself included, but also tons of people touched by it, parents, spouses, and again, myself, as you see. I've been seizure-free for almost 5 years, but that's thanks to medication. So I recently shared with Landis how epilepsy took my career right here at News 3 Now 12 years ago. I talked about what I would do now if those seizures came back.
We didn't know what my triggers were, meaning we didn't know what caused my seizures. I had no triggers. We didn't know how often they would happen. It was like every 2 to 4 weeks. And then they would come in clusters, which means I would have 5 in a couple days. Yeah. I hope that wouldn't happen again. But if they came back, I wouldn't want to quit.
And you can find this episode, but also dozens of others. This is season 8. Anywhere you like to find your podcasts, like Spotify, Apple, etc. Or you can go to YouTube at What the F Podcast.
Look forward to seeing that conversation. Thank you, Sarah. Well, the number of available jobs in the U.S. unexpectedly increased in April. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said there were an estimated 7.4 million job openings at the end of the month. That's up from 7.2 million in March. Economists were expecting a drop in openings for a third month in a row. Hiring jumped to its highest rate in 7 months, while the number of estimated hires was the highest in nearly a year. But it wasn't all encouraging news in the latest data. Today's report also noted a sharp increase in layoffs. To Wall Street, the Dow is up 214 and the Nasdaq is up 156 points. And the S&P 500 is up 34.
President Trump's tariffs are causing a slowdown in growth. Today, the Organization for Economic Cooperation downgraded its growth forecast for the U.S. to 1.6%. That's down from a previous projection of 2.2%. The group cites higher tariffs, slowdown in net immigration, and reduction in the federal workforce for the drop. The report expects the economic slowdown to be focused on the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and China.
For a long time, people looking for a house have had little to choose from, but now things appear to be changing. New data from real estate firm Redfin found people selling homes outnumbered buyers by nearly 500,000 last month, and that should make it a buyer's market with more homes for sale, but that's not exactly what's happening.
A lot of those folks who are selling, they are not so quick to lower their prices. We are seeing some indication they will, but they're sitting on those low mortgage interest rates from 5 years ago, so it's not like a huge issue for them. What we do know is Redfin believes that this outpacing of sellers from buyers, that this will lower prices just by about 1% by the end of the year.
Nationwide, the average price of a home is a little more than $438,000. That's still less than the average sale price of a home in Dane County, which was more than $493,000 last year, according to the South Central Wisconsin Multiple Listing Service. Next on Live at 4, what new information tells us about the state of America's housing market?
And how one local hospital is honoring veterans. We'll be right back.
We're following new information. ICE has arrested the family of the man charged with injuring 12 people in Boulder over the weekend. 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon has a wife and 5 children. It's not clear how many of them ICE took into custody or what their immigration statuses are. Solomon, who is in the U.S. illegally, is charged for setting demonstrators on fire gathering in support of Israeli hostages. Solomon is being held on a $10 million cash bond. He's due back in court on Thursday.
Days after announcing his departure from D.C., Elon Musk is lashing out at the president's agenda bill. Musk took to his X account to say the bill is a, quote, disgusting abomination. In his own social media post, the president pressured senators to pass the legislation before July 4th. Senate leadership can only afford 3 no votes from Republicans if all Democrats vote against its passage and there are no absences.
For a third day in a row, Palestinians desperate for food came under fire while on their way to receive aid from a distribution site run by the U.S. and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Palestinian officials say Israeli forces opened fire early today, killing 30 people and wounding dozens of others. The Israeli military says its forces shot at suspects moving toward them, who deviated from the designated access routes. Now, the United Nations is calling for an investigation into violence near the distribution sites.
Video shows what appears to be underwater explosives taking out part of a bridge connecting Russia to occupied Crimea. It follows an aggressive air raid from Ukraine on Russia's fleet of nuclear-capable bombers this weekend and comes one day after peace talks between the warring countries in Istanbul.
We've had a rainy day today, and it's not over yet. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Jacob?
Thanks, Brady. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. We're going to continue to see some possible thunderstorms through early tonight with a few small rain chances towards the end of the weekend next weekend, specifically Friday and Sunday. We also are going to see those temperatures not quite as warm as they were earlier today or yesterday moving forward. We'll have highs mostly in the 70s over the next week. Now, before I talk about the rain and temperatures, do want to mention there's still an air quality alert for all of Wisconsin until at least noon tomorrow, as we're going to continue to see some lower air quality with some of that wildfire smoke kind of moving back into the area. So looking at the smoke forecast, again, you can see to the northwest it kind of pushing back into southern Wisconsin. It is going to kind of linger around the area as well for later in the day Wednesday and possibly early Thursday as well. So we may continue to see some lower air quality for Thursday, but it does look like it may start to finally move out as we get closer towards the weekend. Now, looking at the alert day, we still have it in the forecast for the evening, as we are going to continue to see the possibility of these strong to severe thunderstorms. So as we look at the current radar, right now we are seeing a line of storms off to the west, not producing any severe weather right now, but it continues to push off to the east, likely going to bring some rain for the rest of our area at some point this evening. Now, as we take a look at the future track, we are going to see those storms again redevelop, but especially as we get closer to around that 6 to 8 p.m. range, we'll see possibly a line of storms move into our area from the southwest, and that could bring some severe weather with it. But once it clears out, or once that initial line moves through, we're still going to see some consistent rainfall on the back end of it, lasting throughout a good portion of the overnight hours for Madison and areas to the east. It will clear out a lot earlier for places off to the west. And once we get closer to the daylight hours Wednesday, it will continue pushing off with just some light rain at that point. And then once we get towards the afternoon, we are going to see some clear skies. Now, we still could see some strong winds, some minor hail. Could even still have an isolated tornado pop up in some locations. We had a little bit of rotation earlier, but we never had a tornado warning. Still could see some minor flooding. There actually is a flood advisory in northern Wisconsin for parts of that area, so could see some minor flooding concerns as well. Now, we're going to continue to see a few other rain chances for the end of the week as well. Not terribly high, though. Certainly not as high as today, but we definitely could see a few light showers, maybe a pop-up storm for the end of this week, and especially for Sunday and Monday. That looks like the best chance for rain, as those high temperatures will consistently be in the 70s moving forward. They will warm back up into the lower 80s by the middle of next week, but overall, a lot of very nice days going forward, and even those small chances of rain, it doesn't look like it will rain for the entire day, at least not for the end of this week.
Thank you, Jacob. In the 608, a local hospital is ensuring area veterans are remembered long after Memorial Day ends.
Josh Spreiter is at Upland Hills Health in Dodgeville to share this small town patriotism.
So there are 2 ways that the Upland Hills Health here in Dodgeville is giving back to local veterans. The first one is through this quilt right here in front of me. This is done by the Caring Crafters, which is a group of volunteers here at the hospital. Chris is one of them. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So talk about the Caring Crafters. What are you guys all about?
The Caring Crafters are a group of women who give back to the community through our hospital. And our hospital is fantastic. And they want to be able to give back, and we can do that through making things for patients, for staff, for residents at our nursing center, which is attached to our hospital. And so we make a variety of things with fabric, paper, and yarns. So if you know how to do any of that or work with any of those materials, then you can contact us through the hospital and we'll find something for you to do.
That's so cool. And for this project in general, you guys are focused on giving back to local veterans. And why are you doing that?
Well, Hospice asked, we have made quilts for hospice, for passage quilts before, but they asked for us to do one just specifically for veterans. So this is full of stars and stripes, red, white, and blue, and anytime a veteran passes, they will use this quilt to, as the veteran is taken from the home or wherever they are, and it means a lot to the families.
The second part to the story are these flags out front of the hospital. This is more volunteer work. We have Judy and Bev joining us today. Ladies, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you bet. So let's talk about these flags because this story is pretty incredible. And this is only the second year that you've done this?
This is the second year. The first year we had approximately 200 flags, and now we're up to 367.
367. And what are these flags representing?
They're representing the veterans, the past and the present, and it's a tribute to those people who've given their lives.
So then people can purchase these flags to be able to put out front in someone that they want to honor.
Yes, they can purchase a $2 card, or they can purchase the $5 flag and card. And most people do purchase the flags and the card because that's what they want to take back with them.
And you mentioned, obviously, the growth that you guys have already seen in year 2. That has to say something about this community and why they want to give back.
Oh, it's such a popular project. We've had such good support. When we talk to somebody about it, they're all enthused about purchasing a flag and being part of this.
Well, I can see exactly why. Thank you so much for having us again today. And if you'd like to learn more about how the hospital is giving back to local veterans and how you can take part, you can go to the story up on channel3000.com. In Dodgeville, I'm Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Josh, and Chris and Judy and Bev as well. Those quilts are so beautiful,
nice?
weren't they?
Such talent.
Yeah,
I'm in awe.
That's for sure. And this is your reminder, by the way, to vote in Madison Magazine's Best of Madison competition.
Voting is open now through the end of the month. Unlike the first round of voting, you'll only be able to vote once per category. The poll qualifies vote getters who live in Dane County and cities in counties nearby like Columbia, Dodge, Iowa, Greene, Rock, Jefferson, and Sauk. Go vote now at the link on your screen. Well, coming up on Live at 4, a new event is coming to Madison.
We'll talk about the True North Music and Food Festival when Live at 4 continues. We'll be right back.
A new festival is coming to Madison later this year.
Yep, mark your calendar. September 27th, the Madison Mallards and Lolas will host the True North Music and Food Festival at Warner Park Duck Pond. The event will feature food from local favorites like Ahan and Cora and Heritage Tavern, just to name a couple. There's a lot of them.
There are, yeah. I don't want to wait for this. Well, joining us now to talk about what you can expect, co-owner of Lola's, Matt Girding, and Heritage Tavern's owner, Dan Fox. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us.
This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a great party.
Well, why did you want to be involved with this?
You know, we opened Lola's about a year and a half ago, and we've been kind of wanting to use my background, which is more in the concert world and live music world, and we kind of came up with this idea with our friends from the Mallards, and we've also kind of felt that there's a void in the festival community on the north side. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the Near East side, and everybody loves those festivals, but we wanted to bring a little bit of life to the north side and celebrate our incredible restaurant community with some great live music. And so September 27th, we're throwing a big old party.
It's very exciting. The music is one component, but if you really want to have a signature event in Madison, it's all about the food. And that's where you come in. Tell me about the restaurants that are participating.
You know what, I can't wait for this event. There's been kind of a void in town for local restaurant-supported events like this, especially throwing in the music elements. And you know, the fall is always a great time. We celebrate harvest in the Madison area. We're personally we're celebrating pigs that we raise. We're doing a little suckling pig roast, kind of sharing some elements of Heritage Tavern. And I couldn't think of a better way to enter the fall and work with Lola's on this amazing event on the 27th.
And there's going to be 12 restaurants in total that are participating, or more than that?
So far 12. We may end up adding a couple more. It depends on how we sell tickets, and if we move a lot of tickets, we might have to add a couple to meet demand. But we're anticipating 3,000 or so people, and you know, we go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. And we'll see where it goes from there. But we've got a really diverse array of restaurants with everything from, you know, barbecue to pizza to tacos to you name it. Even Ancora is doing breakfast sandwiches, so be a little bit of something for everybody.
How special is it? Food unites people, and you know, it brings together friends, neighbors, strangers.
Music.
Yeah, music. Yeah. Why is that such a high calling for you guys?
I think, you know, Dan and I both are members of our community, and we're part of the restaurant community. I've been part of the concert community in town for a really long time, and so yeah, music and food are two things that make people want to celebrate. And so to be able to do that and kind of combine those two worlds into one event like this is a pretty special thing. So we're excited to see it come to life.
I love the timing of it too. When everybody goes back to school, it's like one last blast of summer at the end
Before
of September
winter
when the weather is still nice. Are the restaurants going to be sort of like a Best of Madison setup where you just walk around and sample, or how's it going to work?
It almost feels like, it's a higher end local kind of fair celebration of food in Madison. With the restaurants that are lined up, don't think you can have too much of a better celebration of the elements that come out of the community. Really what makes Madison special.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see it at this event.
And one ticket, Matt, gets you into everything, or do you have to buy separate tickets?
Yeah, it's $15 ticket. It gets you into the festival grounds, and it's pretty fun. We're putting the stage right behind second base on the Mallards field, and so people can celebrate food and music, right in the infield of the Mallard Stadium, which is pretty cool. So yeah, $15 gets you in, and you can sample from all the different restaurants. Enjoy 5 great bands, 4 of which are local Madison bands, and headlined by Pokey LaFarge, who's sort of a Western swing country folk artist from St. Louis. So it's a pretty good batch of music we got lined up too. So
thank you both for sharing that with us. We look forward to the event, and we'll see you soon.
The inaugural event. Yeah. Good to see you guys both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, still ahead tonight on Live at 4, another big event. The AmFam Championship kicks off later this week.
Kyle Pozorski is live with the Volunteers.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Well, here is a look over in Sauk Prairie. Those clouds look kind of menacing.
They do, yeah. Storms and smoke. We're still dealing with that smoke, are the weather word today. Jacob is out on the patio. Can you smell it and sense it in the air out there?
Not the smoke, but I feel like it's the smell of rain that's kind of masking that right now, as it definitely feels a little bit on the humid side. But we also are starting to see some light rain kind of fall again here at the station. So that's kind of masking the smoke smell. But look at the radar, not seeing anything heavy in Madison, but you can see that line of thunderstorms to the west that is pushing across our area. Also much more consistent rain further north in Juneau Adams County. So we're certainly not done with the rain just yet, and we're going to continue to see these showers and storms push through. Best chance of severe weather going forward will be kind of in the evening hours around 6 to 9 p.m. And then we are going to see some consistent rain even after that initial line of severe storms move, or potential severe storms, I should say, moves through, with some lingering showers for the overnight hours. Now, temperatures right now still very mild, but it's a very sharp drop off from the northwestern portion of our area and just northwest of that. Temperatures are already in the 50s further northwest in Minnesota, but we're still in the middle 70s here, but we are going to see some cooler temperatures tomorrow. Not a dramatic shift, but they already are colder compared to this time yesterday, but much colder compared to yesterday further northwest. But like I mentioned, we are going to see those colder temperatures tomorrow, but still very, very comfortable. It's not like it's going to drop to the 50s. We're still going to be in the 70s, so I'll talk more about that and talk more about the severe weather coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. The Dane County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help to find a missing inmate from its jail diversion program. This is 34-year-old Emily Dara. She was declared AWOL this morning after deputies went to check on her and couldn't find her at her home. Her last recorded GPS was at that address on Ashford Lane early this morning. Dara was serving a sentence for a 4th offense OWI. Anyone with information about where she is should call Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
At the Capitol, a group of Wisconsin lawmakers is introducing legislation in an effort to curb gun violence in Wisconsin.
Political reporter Will Keneally has more.
The package of legislation is part of a safe summer push by Democrats. It includes red flag laws and waiting periods for gun purchases in Wisconsin. It's not the first time Democrats have introduced gun control legislation in the Capitol, but comes after recent shootings at a school in Madison and UW-Platteville. Here's the state's Democratic Attorney General, Josh Kaul.
Yes, we have raised these issues before, but we are not going to stop fighting for common sense gun safety measures in our communities until they are passed into law and they are keeping Wisconsinites safe.
These bills are unlikely to pass the Republican-controlled state legislature. There is one bill, though, that Republicans have introduced. It would make gun safes tax-free in Wisconsin, but it's currently stalled in the state assembly. We'll have more on this coming up tonight at 5. Reporting in Madison, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
We will see you at 5, Will. Thank you. Madison police are investigating after an auto theft at a dealership Friday night. This was on Stoughton Road near Rindall Park. Police say at least 3 unidentified male suspects stole 2 cars overnight Friday. Police found both of the cars parked outside of an address in Stoughton. They arrested one man after watching him get into one of the cars. Police have not said whether the other suspects have been arrested.
A new bill is looking to crack down on service pet regulations. Violators could face hundreds of dollars in fines.
News 3 Now's Jalen Banks reports from the Capitol.
A new Republican-authored bill aims to better regulate Wisconsinites who manipulate the service animal system. I had the chance to catch up with one of its authors on the motivation behind it.
If passed, this bill would modify how the state defines service animals. Right now, any animal can be a service animal. The change would limit it to dogs and miniature horses. It would also fine someone who is not being truthful as to whether or not their pet is actually a service animal.
We just want to have some consistency to our laws. And I think this will add some consistency to the laws. We're not changing it. It's protected under federal law. And but we are just saying you have to be legitimate.
For now, reporting at the Capitol, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. A Milwaukee man is charged with framing an undocumented immigrant for threatening the president's life. Court documents allege Demetric Scott hand-wrote letters to Wisconsin officials with a return address connected to Raymond Morales Reyes, who is undocumented. In it, he threatened to kill ICE agents and the president. Back in 2023, Scott was charged with armed robbery and battery. The victim was Morales Reyes. Investigators believe Scott wanted to get Morales Reyes deported before he could testify in a trial. Morales Reyes remains in ICE custody with a deportation hearing set for Wednesday. Well, the American Family Championship is just a few days away, and it's at a new home this year.
How about that? And while the location is departing University Ridge, the charitable work the tournament brings us is still the same. Kyle Pozorski joins us live from TPC, Wisconsin to show us. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, good evening, guys, out here on hole 18. And like you said, it's a new location here on Madison's north side. American Family Insurance, along with Steve Stricker, who's the player host. He is part of putting this on each year, raising money for both the foundations, with close to $20 million now raised since 2016. Now, it all can't happen without people volunteering. Many of them are former employees of American Family Insurance. I spoke with one of those who has been volunteering for 9 years. He says it's the people who make this event so special.
There is a real camaraderie between each and every volunteer. The people I work with are really good people. They're energetic and they like helping out. We don't have a problem finding volunteers. They all want to be here.
And while the grounds here at TPC, Wisconsin, of course, are now set, a little soaked today from the rain, but doing just fine. Tomorrow we'll begin the Pro-Am tournament, which is not open to the public, but you can come if you are part of the public on Friday with all the action of the full PGA Tour champions. That play, again, begins on Friday and will run through Sunday. Reporting out here live from TPC, Wisconsin, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Have fun out there. Now the sun comes out, it looks beautiful.
A lot to look forward to.
Well, this is your reminder to vote in Madison Magazine's Best of Madison competition.
Voting is open now through the end of the month. Unlike the first round of voting, you will only be able to vote once per category. The poll qualifies vote getters who live in Dane County and cities in the counties nearby, like Columbia, Dodge, Iowa, Greene, Rock, Jefferson, and Sauk counties. Go vote now at the link on your screen.
Coming up on Live at 4, why new research on colorectal cancer has doctors hopeful.
Plus, how a new blood test guided treatment can help women with breast cancer. A major new study shows exercise can cut the risk of dying from colorectal cancer by by a third.
And more exciting news regarding cancer, a blood test that could transform the way doctors monitor breast cancer patients. Lots to talk about today with UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff. Hi, Dr. Potoff. Good to see you. Let's start with colorectal cancer and exercise. What's the connection there?
So this is an interesting study. So imagine you've got colon cancer and you go through all the rigmarole. Maybe you've had surgery, maybe you've had chemotherapy, and now you're cancer-free. But the question in the back of your mind is, can I stay cancer-free and what do I need to do? This study suggests that if you exercise moderately, so that's like, brisk walking, maybe 3 to 4 hours per week, you can decrease your chance of recurrence. So if you look at those people in this study who exercise that amount 5 years later, about a 6% reduction in their recurrence, which doesn't sound like much, but still, anything you can do to reduce recurrence. If you go out about 8 years and then you look at, who's alive between the exercise group and not the exercise group, about a 7% reduction in death, absolute reduction if you're in that exercise group. So,
and you don't have to go out and run a marathon.
Yeah. No, this is like pretty low level, like walking, doing it regularly enough, 3-4 times a week, a good walk. But that's interesting, both for colorectal cancer, but now, will this apply for other cancers? If you're exercising after breast cancer, do you reduce your recurrence rate? It's an interesting thing.
What are your recommendations for getting started with exercise? Because that can be very daunting for some people.
Yeah, I think you got to start small. I think if you're like me, you're like, all right, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna run 3 miles 7 days a week, and that's not the way to do it. Work yourself into it gradually, build up that tolerance. Know that first week or so is probably not gonna be super fun, but then as you get acclimated to it, it actually is a great thing to do. It reduces stress, you feel better, you sleep better, and if you're a survivor of colorectal cancer, decreases the chance of recurrence.
It's a powerful incentive, that's for sure. Now let's talk about this other very interesting study. If you or someone you know has breast cancer that has spread to other organs, and you know this very well with what you went through with your mom, you go through scan after scan and you're worried, is it spreading or what's happening now? Now there is a potential new alternative in a blood test that could be a real game changer.
Yeah, this is really interesting, really speaks to the importance of cancer research. So like you were saying, a lot of women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, and this is particularly for estrogen receptor positive, HER2 negative breast cancer, you're getting treatment, and what you're worried about is is the cancer getting worse? And until now, you'd have to get a scan. One, it's inconvenient, you got to get to the doctor's office. Two, by the time you see something get bigger on a scan, you're a little bit behind the 8 ball. So what this new kind of combination from AstraZeneca does is there's a blood test that actually looks to see if the chemotherapy, if your body has reacted and changed the way the estrogen receptor is working, such that chemo is not going to be as effective. And then suggest to your doctor that maybe you should switch your medicine or get a different medicine before you even see it on the scan. So it gives you about a 6 months head start in decreasing tumor progression, and that's what they see. Instead of 9 months to progression, it takes a full 16 months once you institute that therapy a little bit quicker.
Because there is a big anxiety living between the scans
Absolutely.
and thinking what has happened since the last one.
Right.
So it seems like some big benefits for people.
I think it could be a big deal. We'd have to figure out when do we do the test, how do we fit that in, but those are all details that get figured out.
Yeah. And is it in the embryo stage, or is it something that could be coming
I think it'll take
soon?
a while because the study is looking pretty promising, and then you're going to have to get approval, and then insurers are going to figure out if they're going to cover it, and then health systems to figure out in our whole treatment of breast cancer, where do we fit this in? But I think with time we could see something like this.
So exciting.
Thank you very much for sharing that
Good to
with
see
us.
you. Thanks, Dr. Potoff.
Thank you.
Coming up on Live at 4, Jacob has another check on the forecast.
Plus, when you can celebrate Pride Night at Henry Vilas Zoo.
In the weather satellite a spin this afternoon. We haven't done this in a little bit.
It even looks a little hazy over there in San Francisco. 63 degrees and sunny if you're sick of the rain here. But let's get a look at our first warn forecast. Jacob's back. We are still dealing with some rain over here, though.
Yeah, and we are going to continue to see that rainfall for the next several hours. Through the early overnight hours, we're going to continue to see some scattered thunderstorms with another small rain chance towards the end of this week, but especially early next week. And temperatures going forward, we're going to have highs in the 70s. Not a lot of 80s for the next several days. Could see them return by next week, though. Now, as we take a look at the alert day, we still have it in the forecast for this evening because we still are expecting the possibility of severe weather. This is going to be for all of southern Wisconsin. But just recently, the National Weather Service actually put out a severe thunderstorm watch for Madison and areas to the south. This is until 11 p.m. Now, just because it's not a tornado watch doesn't mean we can't see a few isolated tornadoes possibly pop up with these storms. Now, looking at the current situation, we are seeing this line of storms right now to the west. This is not necessarily the line of storms that we are expecting to produce severe weather. Still could, but it's not going to be as strong, this line of storms, as the line of storms we'll see a little bit later in the evening. Now, as we take a look at the current severe weather outlook, still a marginal risk for everybody, but again, Madison and areas south right now have the best chance of that severe weather going forward. So let's take a look at future track. Again, once we get to around 7 to 8, that's when we're going to have the best chance to see that line of thunderstorms move through, where some of these could produce some strong winds and maybe even some large hail as well. But after this line of storms initially moves through the front of it, we're still going to see about an hour or so of consistent rainfall behind it, at least an hour, I should say, as we're going to continue to see some of that rainfall for the overnight hours, especially from Madison and areas to the east. Once we get to around midnight, far western counties should be done with the rainfall, but we're still going to see those showers continue into the early morning hours Wednesday for Madison and places to the east. And even after sunrise, we still could see some lingering rain, but once we get later in the day, it will have pretty much cleared out by then. So taking a look at the severe weather hazards, wind is the most likely. Still could see some minor hail and an isolated tornado as well. After that, we're going to continue to see a few rain chances to end the week, but especially early next week, that's our next better chance of rain, but it still doesn't look like we're going to see quite as much rain during that time period as we've seen today. So we still are going to be keeping an eye on the forecast for the next couple of hours, but we are going to be pretty dry for the end of the week. Again, could still see some small precipitation times, but 70s are in the forecast, and we're going to see a lot of dry weather during the day. The highs will then drop to near 70 on Monday before rising to near 80 by the middle of next week.
Henry Vila Zoo is hosting its 3rd annual Pride Night next weekend.
The one-night event only. It's an after-hours event. It's for people ages 18 and older. You'll be able to see the animals, participate in trivia, get some free carousel rides, and learn more about all of the local organizations supporting the LGBTQ+ community. It's next Saturday from 5:30 to 9. Tickets are $10 each and available at the zoo's website.
Summer is in full gear now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing some of those storms, and it's kind of like a very summer-like day out there in the sense that, you step outside and it just feels like, it kind of feels like rain. Now, it's not super warm, so it's not, terribly muggy out there, but you can definitely feel the rain. We're still seeing that rain right now, pushing it from the west to the east. Still going to see the chance of some storms later in this evening. Could even see some severe weather along with it. But then we're going to dry out for the end of the week. Could see a few small precipitation chances, and those high temperatures are going to be comfortably in the 70s pretty much every day over the next 7. Could see the 80s by the middle of next week, though.
All right. Thank you, Jacob. We'll be right back. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. We're going to have a preview of a food festival in Madison where all of the products are gluten-free. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today, everybody. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow. As a reminder, you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.